This is very... Shabbat Shalom. We're so grateful that you are here. We begin by just saying, Ma tovu o halecha Yaakov, how good it is to be here in community together.
Ma tovu, o halecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu, o halecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ha'ani verov chastecha, ha'movetecha, eshtachav echol chodshecha, ve'yiratecha. Ma tovu, o halecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Adonai ahavti me'on betecha, u'mekom mishkan kevodecha, mishkan kevodecha. Ba'ani eshtachaveh ve'echraha, evrecha livnei Adonai u'si. Ma tovu, o halecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Va'ani tefilati lecha, Adonai et ratzon, Elohim berov chastecha, Elohim berov chastecha, Haneni be'emet yishecha. Ma tovu, o halecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael, mishkenotecha Yisrael.
Thank you to Taran and to Noah. Ma tovu o halecha. It is so good to be here in community together. Shabbat Shalom to those of you who are here in the sanctuary. Shabbat Shalom to those of you who are joining us on YouTube. We are one community together, and we are part of the Temple Beth Am tent, wherever we may be, and how good it is to be here. I'm Rabbi Ruth Slotnick. I'm joined by my colleague, Rabbi Dana Benson, and by a young leader in our community who will be called to Torah, TJ Daniels. We're so grateful for your leadership as well. And so we'll ask that you do a few things to help us create that island in time, which is Shabbat. And the first is maybe just take a nice deep breath in and out. Because by being together in community, we create a space where we just take in all the blessings in our lives. We feel a sense of gratitude. The final line in Ma tovu, that prayer that Taran and Noah just shared with us, is one of my favorite lines in all of Jewish prayer. Va'ani tefilati lecha, which can be translated as, I send my prayer to you, O God, but it could be literally translated as, Va'ani tefilati, I am my prayer to you as, O God. On Shabbat, we come together in community to recognize We ourselves are vessels for blessing, and it's a blessing to be together, to celebrate as we bring Torah to our community. So we begin, as the rabbi suggests, by sharing as many blessings as possible. And it is an honor to invite a wonderful member of our community, Stephanie Levine, who's going to help us get a head start on those. Stephanie's going to be on page 80.
'80. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. In Beth Am's tradition, we will be reciting this blessing. It'll cover 3 pages, 80, 82, 84. And we will be chanting the first 2 lines of each prayer in Hebrew. And the last 2 or 3 lines of each blessing we will do in English or Hebrew. I'll switch back and forth. But we ask that you pray with your own heart, with the words that are best for you. You can change the words, and you can change the gender is whatever is appropriate for you or your heritage. And we'll begin it right now. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who lifts up the fallen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who stretches the earth over the waters. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechin mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who provides clothes to those who need them. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hanoten le'ayef koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who removes sleep from the eyes and slumber from the eyelids. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shasani b'tzelem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shasani bat chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me of my heritage. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Ozir Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Oter Yisrael b'tifara. And now, as in our tradition of our congregation, we just take a moment right now for you to create your own blessing from your heart and offer it at this time. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for the blessing of those dedicated to medicine and our care.
Amen, amen. Thank you so much, Stephanie. And I just also want to take a moment to share with everyone about some of the COVID precautions we're taking here today to make sure all of us are safe. Everybody who's going to be on the Bima has been rapid tested, so we are feeling really good and strong up here on the Bima. And of course, everyone in our community has a COVID card with, of course, their vaccination and boosters. So thank you to all of you for making sure that we are able to keep our community safe. and that we're able to gather because of this. It's so wonderful after being here last night and not having anyone in the seats and hoping to connect across the cameras and screens, which we are also doing to all of you at home. But it's so nice to have our space filled with individuals. And that's what's beautiful about the Baruch Hu. The Baruch Hu is our call to worship, and we can only say it if we have a minyan. We can only say it if we have a group of people here together. And so, indeed, we turn now to the Baruch Hu. If it is your custom, if you are able, I invite you to please rise. To rise, you may be seated. It is now my honor and distinct pleasure to invite forward TJ Daniels to lead us as he is going to be becoming bar mitzvah today in the words of Yotzer Or, which can be found on page 110.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam. Yotzer or uvarei choshech, osei shalom uvarei et hakol. Hameir la'aretz, vladorim aleha brachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh bechol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reishit. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam bechochma asita, mal'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, ve'al me'orei or she'asita, yifa'arucha selah. Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir, v'nizkeh chulanu mehera le'oro, Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMe'orot.
And now TJ will continue to lead us on page 112 with words of love, words of Ahava Rabbah.
Ahava Rabbah Avtanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chemla Gedola Vitera, Chamot Aleinu, Bavur Avotenu, Ve'imotenu, Shebatchu Vecha, Avotenu Ve'imotenu, Vatelamdem Chukei Ken Techonenu Tzlamdenu, Ham Rachem, Rachem Aleinu, Vaten Bili Benu Lehavinu Haskil, Lishmoa Lilmod Ulelamed, lishmor v'lasot. Ulkayem et kol dibrei Talmud Torah techa be'ahava v'har erenenu betorah techa v'adabek libenu b'mitzvotecha v'yached levavenu lahava u'yira et shemecha v'lo nevosh v'lo nikalem v'lo nikashel le'olam va'ed ki v'shem kodecha Hagadol v'hanora batachnu Nagila v'nismecha b'yeshuatecha v'havienu l'shalom ma'ar b'kanfot haaretz v'tolichenu komemiut le'artzenu ki el poel yeshuotata uvavanu v'acharta v'keravtanu l'shimcha hagadol sela be'emet lehodo lecha uyadchetcha be'ava Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'amo Yisrael be'ahava.
Thank you so much, TJ, for beautifully leading us. You can take a seat for a moment. And we are going to continue with the words of the Shema. And these words are about listening. But in a world where we listen so much to the beeps, the buzzes, the alarms that we set for ourselves to make sure we're on the next meeting in time, listening to other people talking, it can be hard to really listen. So I invite us all, before we say the Shema, just to take a deep breath in and out, and find that still small voice that lives within you, that voice that connects you to each other, to all of creation. And let that voice come up through your words and through these melodies as we share in the words of Shema together. They can be found on page 114.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vared. Baruch Shem Kevod
as we feel that connection to something greater than ourselves, I invite TJ to come up and lead us in the words of Veyahofta. They can be found on page 116.
Veyahofta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shuchbecha uv'ekumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti echem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem l'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. Thank you so much, TJ. You can take a seat. Thank you for leading us so beautifully. Now, for our ancient ancestors, the splitting of the Sea of Reeds was a moment of joy and celebration. I don't know about you, but after the fog we've had and now the sun finally breaking through, I hope so. Let's get a little bit more of that today. That can bring us that same joy and elation on Shabbat as we have this day of rest. And so we turn to the words our ancestors sang as they crossed through the sea, the words of Mihamoha, which can be found on page 122. Our tradition is to dance, but since, of course, we have other concerns, we want to make sure that we are safe. But I highly encourage dancing in your seats. And if you're at home, dance away. And so we turn to 122 for Mihamoha.
Ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 Mihamoha ba'elim Adonai Mihamoha nehedar b'kodesh Norah tehilo tosef elef Norah tehilo tosef elef
חדשה שבחוג גאולים, לא שמך על שפת הים. יחד כולם הודו, וימלכו ואמרו,
אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מיכמוך באלים אדוני, מיכמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלף, נורא תהילות אוסף אלף. יאללה לי, יאללה לה 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 לה, יאללה לה 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 לה, יאללה לה 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 יאללה יאללה לה, יאללה לה לה יאללה לה לה לה.
Ooh, I don't know about all of you, but I feel ready to pray now. Woo! That brought the energy and that spirit and that ruach. So thank you so much, Tarn and Noah. We turn now to the Amidah, our standing prayer, which will be led by TJ. We turn to page 124, and I invite you to rise if you are able.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotei v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imaho, Umevi Goel Livnei B'neihem, L'Eman Shemo Beyahofta, Melech Chozer Moshiach Umagen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Vezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atarav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach Umarid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofech Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishanei Afar, Mihamoha Bal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit, Umechayem, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Chayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol.
We turn to page 130 for the Kedusha. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא הארץ, כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו אחד הוא אלוהינו הוא אבינו הוא מלכנו הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור. הללויה, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. בשבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל HaKadosh. TJ continues to lead us in Kedushat Hayom on page 134.
Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu retzev v'imnuchatenu Kachenu b'mitzvotecha, v'ten chelkeinu b'toratecha, sabenu mituvecha, v'samchenu b'yeshuatecha, v'taher libenu, v'ovdecha be'emet, V'hanchilenu Adonai Eloheinu Be'ahava ratzon. Shabbat kodshecha. Ve'anuchu v'Yisrael. Mekadeshe v'shemecha. Baruch atah Adonai. Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Now we take a few moments in quiet to offer the prayers that are on the next few pages or to offer the prayers of our heart. And so we'll join back together in a few moments, and when you feel ready, you may sit whenever your spirit is filled with those prayers.
Thank you so much. That was such a beautiful way of bringing us together. And in those final words, we say, Adonai Suri, God is our rock. God is that sense of security, of solidity upon which we stand. But we know that actually from generation to generation, we don't always feel like we're on solid ground. But the thread that has connected the Jewish community throughout the ages has been the words of Torah. And so we come now to this time, this Seder Kriyat HaTorah, this service for reading Torah. It's when a young person is called to Torah. It is also, though, the time that connects us from community to community through the words of our ancestors, through the sacred words of the divine. And so we always want to make a point of recognizing that even as Shabbat morning is a special time for a young person to celebrate with their family being called to Torah, that we as a community pass this tradition on to the next generation. And so before we begin our service for reading Torah, it is an honor to invite a really special member of our community, Carl Levinson, who would like to offer a few words of wisdom to our bar mitzvah on behalf of our congregation. Carl?
We thank God for the gift of Torah and for the wondrous opportunity to share it with a new generation. Today you ensure the continuation of the legacy of Moses and Miriam, who first taught Torah to our people. And we prepare to hand the Torah to you now. And it is our hope that just as you will carry it in your hands today, you will carry it within your heart always as a perpetual expression of faith in God and commitment to your people.
Amen, and thank you, Carl. Beautiful. So on most Shabbat mornings, I am Rabbi Ruth. But on this Shabbat morning, we've decided that I'm Rabbi Ruti. And that's because we are so blessed to have T.J. Daniels being called to Torah as a bar mitzvah. And it is at this moment when we pass Torah down, door to door, from generation to generation. And so it is an honor to invite actually the real Ruti, as well as the real Will, TJ's parents, Ruti and Will, to come forward. And we'll continue with the prayers for the reading of Torah. They are on page 244. We invite you to rise in body or in spirit.
Ein kamocha b'Elohim Adonai ve'ein kema'asecha malchutcha malchut kol olamim u'memshaltecha bechal dor v'ador Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed Adonai hos le'amo yitein Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom.
TJ, we talked about this, right? In your Torah portion, we are still at Mount Sinai in that moment when God, in great love and deep faith, gave this Torah to our ancestors. And now, in this moment, we continue that miracle when these words connect humanity to the divine. Door to door, from generation to generation, these words were passed down during times of joy, but also during times of struggle. And it was given with love and faith. And here we are at this moment. In a second, I will bring this Torah to your grandparents who are in the congregation. And then from the arms of your parents into your arms, we entrust these words. They are paths to peace. Receive them with the love and faith with which they are given. And we know that as you take hold of them, when the time comes, you'll pass it to the next generation with the same love and faith with which we give it to you now.
Ki mitzion tetzei Torah Ki mitzion tetzei Torah Udevar Adonai Mirushalayim Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
And I'll invite MJ to join with Ruti to undress Torah. I'll invite Rabbi Dana to close the ark. So MJ, if you'll take that and actually just hold on to it.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Vishtachahu Lehakodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Vishtachahu Lehakodsho. Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu.
And so we are ready now to hear, as I mentioned, TJ's Torah portion is Parashat Mishpatim, and it's the Torah portion that follows all that amazing light show at Mount Sinai, and it has a series of laws. And so TJ's going to teach us a little bit about those Mishpatim. And actually, Rabbi Dana, I'm going to invite you and me to go to the choir loft to enjoy the Devar Torah, and that's because there's something extra special happening during this Devar Torah. So TJ.
Wouldn't it be great if someone could guide you to living your best life? It would, but your life should be made by you. In Parshat Mishpatim, the Jewish people just got out of slavery, and Moses is going up Mount Sinai to get the 10 Commandments. He came down with rules and laws that include don't say God's name in vain, celebrate Shabbat, do not steal, do not murder, and etc. As you can see, there are two types of laws here: ritual laws and ethical laws. For example, a ritual law would be celebrating Shabbat, and an ethical law would be do not murder. The Torah refers to ritual laws as mitzvot ben Adam lemakom, otherwise known as commandments between the human being and God. The Torah refers to ethical laws as mitzvot ben Adam lechavero, otherwise known as commandments between the individual and other human beings. The fact that there are two types of laws does not mean that one is better or more important than another. Without ethical laws, society would be in crisis, and ritual laws strengthen who we are as a community. Rabbi Ishmael said mitzvot are for enhancing life, for celebrating it with special meanings, for filling it with deeds of justice, kindness, and peace. In my life, I'm surrounded by many different backgrounds that all have different laws or rules. For example, my music school, the School of Rock. At my music school, I play a lot of metal. My late grandma, Fortuna, was a classical piano player. My style of music is very different from hers and goes by very different musical rules, just like hers is very different from mine. If she heard my music, she would freak out. She would think I am breaking all the rules of music. Although in the context of metal, there's still rules. I'm just not following the same rules that she was. I'm not breaking the rules of music. I'm following a new and evolved version of the same rules. And now, here's a video that my mom made demonstrating it. As stated in the highlights of my parsha, Jewish tradition was never static and unchanging, but always made room for the evolution of new insights and interpretations of how Jews should practice their faith. Rules and rituals change all the time. My grandmother's music was for her both a private and public practice. She loved playing on her own and also loved having people listen to her music. I'm the same way. I guess our music practices are the same, even though the music itself sounds so different. My Jewish identity is always changing and improving and is unique to me. Just like every other person's identity is true to themselves. In my opinion, you should do stuff how you want to. You are living your life, not anybody else. This does not mean you cannot be around others and do what they do, but at the same time, do stuff that makes you happier. Rabbi Abraham Ibn Ezra said, "The essential reason for the commandments is to make the human heart upright." I agree with that. Of course, we have boundaries and limits to keep everyone safe and alive, but you get to choose your own path and keep your human heart upright.
Yasher Koha. And TJ, I can safely say that this is the first Shabbat that we've had metal music in the sanctuary, so that is awesome. And so now, TJ, we can put your Devar Torah below because we are ready now to share the words of Mishpatim. So just let's take a moment to move. And we'll just, it may have gotten rolled. Yeah, I think there it is, right?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. And so, if you'd like to follow along as TJ chants, TJ's going to be chanting from the words of Mishpatim that you've just heard in very interesting ways, sets forth these laws that we reinterpret differently, but still hold fast to. For some reason, I feel like going like this as I talk about Mishpatim now. That's like because of the metal stuff. Anyway, so if you'd like to follow along, if you're here in the sanctuary or at home, you have what we've been calling the classical Plout, the old version of the Plout commentary. Exodus 23, verse 12 is on page 588. If you're looking online, I am sure that the Sepharia text will be dropped into the chat. Again, it's Exodus 23, and we'll begin on verse 12, and TJ will be reading through verses 22. It is an honor to invite for the Aliyah, the blessings for Torah, once again, to invite two people who TJ knows fairly well, I think, your mom and your dad, Ruti and Will.
יעמדו זאב בן טוביה וברה ורותי ובת פורטונה והלל לעלייה ראשונה.
Baruch et Adonai Hamavarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamavarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
I go now? Sheshe yamim ta'aseh masecha uvayom hashvi'i tishbot lema'an yanuach shorcha v'chamorecha v'nafesh ben amatcha v'hager uvchol asher amarti alechem tishmeru v'shem Elohim acherim lo tazkiru lo yishama al picha. Shalosh regalim tachagli vashana. Et chag hamatzot. Tishmor shivat yamim. Tocha matzot. Ka'asher tziviticha. L'moed chodesh ha'aviv. Kivo yatzatat mimitzrayim. V'lo yera'u fanai rekam. V'chag hakatzir bikurei masecha asher tizrai basadeh. V'chag ha'atzif betzet hashana. Ve'ospecha et masecha min hasadeh. Shalosh pe'amim bashana yira'eh kol zechorcha el penei ha'adon Adonai.
Yasher koach. And your parents will do the blessing after.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
And now, TJ, it is an honor to invite you to this Torah for the very first time as a bar mitzvah.
Hakol havu godel Eloheinu utnu kavod leTorah ya'amod habar mitzvah teochaim ben zeveruti le'aliyah shniya.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Go again. Lo tizbach al chametz dam zivchi v'lo yalin chelev chagi ad boker reishit bikirei ad matcha tavi v'etz Adonai Elohecha lo tevashel gedi b'chalev imo. Hine anochi sheleach ma'ach lefanecha lishmorcha badarech v'lahaviyacha el hamakom asher hachinoti. Hishamer mipanav ushma bekol o al tamer bo. Ki lo yisa lefi shachem ki shmi bekir bo. Ki im shamoa tishma bekol o v'asita kol asher adaber v'ayavti et oivecha v'tzarti et sorerecha.
One mistake.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah temet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Yasher koach. What a beautiful job sharing the Torah of your soul and of your drumsticks, obviously, and chanting Torah so beautifully. What a blessing you've been to us this morning, TJ. But I know you've been a blessing to your mom and dad from the moment you were born. So with the Torah open before us, they'd like to offer a few words of blessing to you now.
You gotta be by the mic.
Will? Yes. And TJ, you can come.
Yeah, you come.
TJ, you arrived in this world the way you are, special, good-natured, warm-hearted. You get along easily with people and make friends everywhere you go. Your friends have always meant so much to you, as does your family. You're a loving brother, cousin, grandson, nephew, son. You are truly talented, naturally musical, and determined at whatever you decide to try and do to the best of your ability. You are brave. You are courageous. Undaunted by challenge. It is so interesting to watch you grow and mature into the man you are becoming. And we cannot wait to see the many things that you will do and places that you will go in your life.
TJ, the world became a better place to live in when you showed up. You're the person who made us parents and subsequently made our lives more meaningful. I wish I could take the credit for the lovely person that you are, but as your dad said, you pretty much showed up the way you are. You have a natural love for being around people. This was evident from a very young age when you used to lean your body over the side of a baby swing to get a closer glimpse of the kid swinging next to you at the park. It was also clear how vexed you were when you were limited to inviting only a few kids to your birthday parties. You always wanted to include everyone. You also have a way with words. I have a personal favorite quote from one of the stories you wrote in 5th grade. Yes. You wrote a story about a boy whose dog ran away. Towards the end of the story, after an exhaustive search for this lost dog, you wrote, "And that's when I needed to take a break from my humanity." I love that line. Sometimes we all need a break from our humanity, and I especially love that 11-year-old TJ knew that back then. And that brings us back to this moment with an almost 14-year-old TJ.
We are so proud of you and admire you in so many ways. We wish you much success and happiness as you take your place in the community as a responsible person. You're the best son we could have ever dreamed of having, and we love you so much.
And we'll say amen, but as I learned in rehearsals, this is a family that knows how to hug and amen. And evidently, TJ is like a master hugger, so this is almost picking up his mom. Mazel tov to the two of you. You may be seated. TJ, you've earned yourself a little rest too. You can sit next to Rabbi Dana. And with the Torah open before us, we believe it's a wonderful opportunity to share blessings, not just the blessings of a parent to a child, but the blessings of a community. And so if you're with us online, we invite you please to include the names of anyone who is in need of healing in the chat. And we'll turn now to our prayer for healing here in the sanctuary. And as I look around, if you have the name of someone that you'd like to share out loud, of course we will invite you to do so. And I'll just begin by saying that we think about all of those who have been impacted by the COVID pandemic, who have been harmed at the hands of injustice of any kind, as well as those that we take into our hearts as our own at this time. For everyone we've named out loud, for anyone who is in the chat online, we continue with our Mishaberach L'cholim, our prayer for healing on page 253.
Ve'im
each and every one know a full and speedy recovery of body and of soul. Amen. And so the time has come to lift and dress Torah. And as if giving birth and raising an awesome bar mitzvah wasn't enough, I'm going to invite Ruti back to be our Hagbah to lift Torah, and I'm going to invite MJ back to dress Torah. If you are able, we invite you to rise in spirit as we continue on page 252.
וסוד התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. עץ חיים לי למחזיקים כאן
Emma up.
Shalom, Hashivenu Adonai, Elecha nashuva, Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu, Chadesh Yameinu Ekedem.
Yasha Koach, thank you. You all may be seated. Please be seated. And Emma and Lev, I'm going to get you another time because I totally forgot to call you up. So be prepared. There's another ark opening later in the service that we'll call you up for. And now, TJ, I have to say that even as you may feel like you're almost done, you're not yet. Your work has not yet been completed because we are also going to read from the Haftarah. Haftarah from the Hebrew to mean additional. The Hebrew Bible is divided into 3 sections. Torah, the first 5 books, from the book of Exodus, TJ read beautifully earlier. Then we have Nevi'im, which is the books of the prophets, and then Ketuvim, which are the writings. And we often read from one of the prophets on Shabbat morning. And actually, this week we're reading from Jeremiah, chapter 34, verses 12 through 14. If you have Plout, we're on page 714. Once again, I am sure that the Sepharia link will be in the chat online. And this is a really interesting moment because often, not always, but often the Haftarah is connected to the Torah portion of the week. And as TJ taught us beautifully, there were several sets of laws in our Torah portion, including laws for how to ethically keep slaves, indentured servants. And actually in Jeremiah's time, these laws were not upheld in a just way. And so this Torah portion is about however our laws may evolve, they always need to evolve in a just way. So once again, Jeremiah 34, page 12 through 14. But TJ is going to begin with the blessings on page 254 of our prayer book.
254.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Habocher Batorah U'Moshe Avdo U'Yisrael Amo U'Vinvi'eh Ha'emet V'Tzedek. Vayehi devar Adonai el Yirmeyahu me'et Adonai lemor. Ko amar Adonai Elohei Yisrael Anochi karati verit et avotechem beyom hotzi otam me'eretz Mitzrayim mi beit avadim lemor. Miket sheva shanim tishalachu ishet achiv ha'ivri asher yimacher lecha va'avadetcha shesh shanim v'shilachto chovshi me'imach V'lo sham'u avotechem elai, v'lo hitu et oznam.
And now we'll do the blessing after.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Tzur kol ha'olamim, tzadik bechol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer ve'oseh, ha'mdaber u'mkayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al ha'nevi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh. Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha lechavod ultifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umvarchim otach yitbarach shimcha b'fi kol chai tamid leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. And so, TJ, I'm going to invite you to stand in front of Rabbi Dana and I as we do the little shifting, because we have the incredible honor now to offer words of blessing to you. And as all good rabbis do, I'm going to steal from another rabbi, Rabbi Dana, actually, because earlier today we had the good luck to have a private moment with you and your family. And Rabbi Dana talked about how you have the rhythm of the Jewish people in your soul. It was such a beautiful observation and so true. And so one of the things that we get to celebrate in this moment is that your becoming bar mitzvah is not an event, it's not something that's just happening this morning right now, but that you will be a bar mitzvah each and every step of your life. And so yes, you have the rhythm of the Jewish people in your soul, and now you are committing to living your life according to the rhythms of Jewish time, Jewish values, Jewish space. We know that you are ready to do that because you have already been our teacher. You've been our teacher in what you have said and how you have presented it. You've been our teacher in the music that you've shared with us. But you've also, as your parents alluded to, you've been our teacher just in who you are. Our prayer for you on this Shabbat, TJ, is that you continue to just celebrate who you are, living by these values you're committing to, and helping to keep the beat of Jewish life going each and every day of your life as a bar mitzvah. You have been a blessing, you are a blessing, and the world needs the blessings that you are bringing into it. So it is our honor to offer you the oldest words of blessings, the blessings that our ancestors said thousands of years ago, we get to offer to you now on behalf of this community.
Yeverechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
TJ, may God bless and keep you always.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha.
And may the light of the divine that shines from you shine upon you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom.
And TJ, as you move forward on this path of being a bar mitzvah, of living and loving Jewish values each day of your life, may you feel the presence of God with you, and may God always bless you with peace. And let us say, Amen.
Ken Yiratzon.
And it's taught in the Talmud that anyone who leads prayer should make at least one mistake to make everyone else comfortable. So that's why I neglected to call up Lev and Emma before. I was just helping you all out. But Lev and Emma, we would love for you to open the ark now as we continue with Aleinu L'Shabeach. It's on page 282, and we invite you to rise in body or spirit.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד.
We now turn to the practice of memory, of considering, remembering, and reigniting the spark of those who are in our lives that we carry with us in our hearts each and every day. The family would like to specifically acknowledge TJ's grandmother, Fortuna Sorrell. Our community also would like to remember these names. If you're joining us in the chat virtually, I invite names there as well to include in our prayers. To be laid to rest, Elaine Shapiro, mother of Robin Shapiro, grandmother of Mara, Ben, and Riley. In the period of Shloshim, we remember Barry Segal, husband of Abby Segal, father of Michelle Segal Parnes, and Sherry Segal, grandfather of Nola and Milo Parnes. We remember Mitchell Libster, the nephew of Joanne and Tom Hornston, son of Ella Mae Libster, Lori Libster, and Neil Libster, all of blessed memory. Richard Padrick, partner of Stacy Winnick and stepfather to Rebecca and Samuel Winnick. Liana Jacobson, mother of Annette Sabbath, mother-in-law of Daniel Sabbath and grandmother of Philip Sabbath. And also Marion Altman, mother of Diane Altman Dodoff, mother-in-law of Stuart Dodoff, grandmother of Rebecca Dodoff, and grandmother-in-law of David Brody, great-grandmother of Lila, Orly, and Avi Brody. To these names, we also add those who are remembering a yortzeit, the one-year anniversary of a beloved's passing, or any year anniversary of a beloved's passing. As a community, we remember Lillian Aaron, Bridget Altman, Peter Aaron Appel, Ronald Barnett, Miriam Breiger, Carl Davis, Teresa Di Domenico, Benjamin Fagan, Morris Fish, Dorothy Fox, Shelley Gordon, Louis P. Grossman, Gunther Lawrence, Lori Libster, Stephen Lipson, Dorothy Luster, Hulda Magnus, Veronica Maureen Matthews, Tom McClintock, Nancy Otterman, Charles Piha, Ruth Rubin, Dean Harris, Anne Hannah Schiller, Alex Schrenzel, Dick Sen, Rosalind Shack, Albert Shikiar, Sherry Selesky, Rosalind Singer, John Sinsheimer, Terry Stombaugh, Sam Trank, Sally Turk Trannon, and Norma E. Wise. We add to those names anyone who we are considering in this moment here. I invite you to share their name aloud as I glance around the room. If you're in the period of Shiva or Shloshim, I invite you to rise. If you're in the first year of mourning, I invite you to rise. If you are commemorating a yortzeit, I invite you to rise. And if it is your tradition, I invite you to rise as one community of support and love as we turn to page 294 for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirutei ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uvchoyei dechol beit Yisrael, va'agala uvizman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam olmei olmaya, yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh, V'yit hadar, v'yit alev, v'yit halal, shmei dekudesha riku, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Useh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, amen. Al kol yoshvei tevel of the earth. May their memories forever be blessings, and may their lights always be kindled in our hearts. You may be seated. And now, to celebrate this wonderful occasion, I have a member of our board, Ronnie Shore, who's going to come up and present some special gifts to TJ to honor and commemorate this day. Come on. I just want everyone at home to hear you.
TJ, on behalf...
Wait. Giving of the gifts, take two.
TJ, on behalf of the Board of Directors and the entire community of Beth Am, let me offer you our Mazel Tov. Thank you for sharing your song, your rhythm, to add that to the songs of our people. And I have to add that I have a special connection through my hearing aid. The technology hears one music, and when something else comes on, it balances them together. So I did find some unity in that. It also has a special setting for metal music, which is off, where it becomes an earplug. But to honor this moment and help encourage your Jewish ritual life, we're glad to offer you this Kiddush cup, which is in here, and this prayer book to help celebrate Shabbat and add blessings to your whole life. Today you're entering into adulthood, a big step. And we proudly welcome you into the leadership of our congregation, into sharing music, which is a key message between us. And we look forward to your Jewish future at Temple Beth Am. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. And yeah, Yasha Koach. TJ, actually, I'm going to invite you back here. You can leave your gifts over there, though. And while TJ is heading over, I want to say thank you to Ronnie for greeting us so wonderfully. And we can show our gratitude in his role as a shamash, someone who's greeting and helping us, by bringing our books back to the cart for those of you who are here in the sanctuary. I want to say also thank you so much to Taran and Noah, whose beautiful souls and music just helped lift up our prayers. Thank you to my colleague and partner in prayer, Rabbi Dana. Thank you to TJ. TJ, it's just the one-liner, this one over here. TJ's going to sweeten this Shabbat with the words of Kiddush, and we invite anyone who is here in the sanctuary to join us for our Kiddush luncheon right after services. And so TJ.
Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
L'chaim. And TJ, how would you feel if we invited, so just to let you all know, we have only one family holding the challah. Oh, did you take a sip?
Oh, no, I didn't.
You haven't taken a sip. You know, we have to
No.
make it
Kosher blessing.
kosher, yeah.
Whole thing or just?
No, just a little bit.
It's grape juice, don't worry, everyone. Okay. And would it be okay with you if we invited your brother Lev to come up and help with the hamotzi? So Lev, would you like to join us for the hamotzi? Lev will be becoming bar mitzvah in the not too distant future, so we want you to get comfortable up on the bima. So I'll take this, and you guys can, I guess we could, and you guys can touch that, and we'll do the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz v'te'am. So I'm getting a sense of what Shabbat is like at the Daniels household. Okay, boys.
I get the bigger half.
At your bar mitzvah, you'll get the bigger half, Lev, I promise. And so, Rabbi Dana, what's our closing song?
We have a very special song. We always include our B'nai Mitzvahs in the process of choosing the music, and of course that's an important thing to TJ, as we all know. And so we're finishing with a song that he loves, Kehila Kadosha. Join with Taran and Noah.
You are a temp, then we're Nitzavim. Stand here today and remember the dream. If you are a temp, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today and remember the dream. If you are a temp, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today and remember the dream. If you are a temp, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today. Yosha, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Oh, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Each one of us must play a part.
Each one of us must seek the truth.
Each one of us must seek the truth.
Each one of us is a part of it all.
Each one of us must remember the pain.
Each one of us must find the joy.
Each one of us.
Each one of us.
Kehila, Kadosha, Kehila, Kadosha, Kehila, Kadosha, Kehila, Kadosha. Each one of us must start to hear.
Each one of us must sing the song.
Each one of us must do the word.
Each one of us must right the wrong.
Each one of us must build the home.
Each one of us must hold the home.
Each one of us. Kehila, are a Tem, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today and remember the dream. If you are a Tem, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today and remember the dream. If you are a Tem, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today, remember the dream. If you are a Tem, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today, Kadosha, la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Oh, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom, everyone at home and in the sanctuary. And have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbat.